Rome wasn't built in a day, and it wasn't ruled by just one kind of leader. Some conquered, some built, some ruled with wisdom. But in the end, they all shaped the world as we know it. The Roman Empire, a force that ruled the ancient world for centuries. But did you know? It was never meant to exist. It all began with one man, Julius Caesar. His rise changed history, but his fall paved the way for something even greater. Caesar wasn't born an emperor. He was a military genius, a charismatic leader, and a man with enemies everywhere. His ambition made Rome powerful, but also unstable. His fate, a betrayal that would shake the world. After years of conquests, Caesar crossed the Rubicon in 49 BC, defying the Senate. He seized power, declared himself dictator for life, but not everyone celebrated. On March 15th, 44 BC, he walked into the Senate. His closest allies, including Brutus, stabbed him 23 times. His final words, "Et tu, Brute," and with that, the Republic died. But Caesar's death wasn't the end. His adopted heir, Octavian, later known as Augustus, avenged him and became Rome's first emperor. The Republic was gone, but the Roman Empire was born, ruling for over 1,500 years. Without Caesar's ambition, there would be no empire. Without his fall, there would be no Augustus. After Julius Caesar was dead, stabbed 23 times by his own allies, Rome was in chaos. But from the ashes of betrayal, one man would rise, Augustus, the man who didn't just avenge Caesar. He built an empire that would last over 1,000 years. At just 19, Octavian was seen as weak. No one believed he could rule. But he was more than Caesar's heir. He was a strategist, and he would stop at nothing to take control. With brilliant tactics, Octavian played Rome's power game. First, he joined forces with Mark Antony and Lepidus, forming the Second Triumvirate. Together, they hunted Caesar's killers. But once the assassins were gone, Octavian turned on Antony, defeating him in the Battle of Actium. With his rivals dead, he took absolute power. In 27 BC, he was crowned Augustus, the first emperor of Rome. Augustus was no ordinary ruler. He transformed Rome, expanding its borders, strengthening its laws, and ushering in the Pax Romana, 200 years of peace. His legacy, the greatest empire in history. Without Augustus, there would be no Roman Empire. After Augustus built an empire, for 40 years he ruled with absolute power. But what happens when the greatest emperor dies? Can Rome survive without him? Or is this the beginning of the end? Before his death in 14 AD, Augustus chose his successor, Tiberius. But unlike him, Tiberius was no visionary. Rome would never be the same again. Tiberius ruled with paranoia, exiling and executing senators. After him came Caligula, who declared himself a god and turned Rome into his playground. Then Nero, who played music as the city burned. Rome, once a symbol of strength, was now in chaos. Augustus had built an empire, but his successors were tearing it apart. Yet, despite the madness of emperors, Augustus's empire endured. Rome would rise and fall for centuries, but his legacy remained. Even today, we still live in the shadow of the empire he created. Not all Roman emperors were mad like Caligula, cruel like Nero, or paranoid like Tiberius. Some built, some conquered, and two of the greatest, Trajan and Hadrian, the emperors who shaped the Roman Empire at its peak. Rome had seen chaos, but under Trajan, it saw power like never before. He expanded the empire to its greatest size. Then came Hadrian, who realized Rome needed more than conquest. It needed stability. Trajan was the ultimate conqueror. From 98 to 117 AD, he crushed Rome's enemies, taking Dacia and Mesopotamia. His rule was called the Golden Age. But after him, Hadrian saw the truth. Rome had grown too large. Instead of expanding, he built defenses, securing borders. His greatest creation, Hadrian's Wall, marking the northern edge of the empire. Two rulers, one who expanded Rome, one who protected it. Together, they defined an era of power and wisdom. Without Trajan, Rome wouldn't have reached its peak. Without Hadrian, it wouldn't have survived. Before Marcus Aurelius became the philosopher-emperor, there was a man who shaped him. A ruler who kept Rome strong, not with war, but with peace. His name, Antoninus Pius. In a time when Roman emperors were known for war and ambition, Antoninus Pius did something different. For 23 years, he ruled without major battles, proving that true strength isn't just in conquest, but in stability. Taking the throne in 138 AD, Antoninus inherited an empire at its peak. Instead of expanding, he strengthened what was already built. He secured borders without bloodshed, improved laws, and protected culture. Under his rule, Rome thrived. Its economy, its art, its people. Many emperors are remembered for war. Antoninus Pius is remembered for peace. And because of his wisdom, he left behind a stable empire, ready for Marcus Aurelius to continue his legacy. Great leaders don't always conquer. Sometimes, they preserve. In a world that pushes for ambition, will you fight for more or protect what truly matters? Some ruled with wisdom, not just power. One man, Marcus Aurelius, proved that a true leader must first master himself. In a time of war and chaos, Marcus Aurelius didn't seek glory. He sought wisdom. His greatest weapon, not the sword, but philosophy. As emperor from 161 to 180 AD, Marcus faced endless wars, plagues, and betrayals. But instead of ruling with fear, he led with reason. He followed Stoicism, a philosophy of self-discipline, humility, and acceptance. His personal reflections, later called meditations, became one of the greatest philosophical texts in history. Marcus Aurelius showed that true strength isn't just conquering lands, it's mastering yourself. His wisdom still guides leaders today, because empires rise and fall, but philosophy endures forever. Rome lasted for over 1,000 years. But why? Was it because of war? Because of wisdom? Or because of leadership? 6 emperors, 6 different paths. But together, they shaped the greatest empire the world has ever seen. Caesar's ambition tore down a republic, but Augustus built an empire. Trajan expanded Rome to its peak, but Hadrian knew its limits. Antoninus Pius ruled with peace, while Marcus Aurelius ruled with wisdom. Each faced war, crisis, and betrayal. Yet, instead of falling, they adapted, leaving behind lessons that shaped history. Some built, some conquered, some protected, some thought, but their true legacy, it's not just in monuments or battles. It's in the lessons they left behind. Lessons that still guide leaders today. We all face challenges. Will you lead with ambition like Caesar? Build like Augustus? Expand like Trajan? Defend like Hadrian? Preserve like Antoninus? Or master yourself like Marcus Aurelius? The choice is yours. Want to uncover more epic stories from history? Like this video and subscribe for more.